The cake knife was still in my hand when she said it. My son is your husband's child. So, as inheritance, I'll take half of your $950,000 house. I didn't drop the knife. I didn't blink. She reached into her handbag and slid a folded document across the table. His will. My husband's signature staring back at me like a ghost. Around us, balloons swayed gently. Laughter spilled from the kitchen. A toddler's squeal cut through the air. I stared at the paper. "Oh," I said softly. "I see." She smiled like a woman delivering justice. The truth was, my pulse stayed steady, because grief had already emptied me out. And in that emptiness, I had room for only one thing: calculation. After the funeral, I thought the worst was over. I'd buried a man I loved, or thought I did, but there had been moments, sharp, unexplainable moments, that didn't fit. The late-night phone calls he would step outside to take, the business trips that didn't line up with his calendar, the subtle way his sister avoided my eyes whenever I mentioned how much her son looked like her brother. I ignored it. Because love teaches you how to build walls around the things you don't want to see. Then, 3 weeks after the burial, an invitation came. The boy's first birthday. It should have been harmless. Family, cake, photographs. Instead, I was sitting in a living room full of helium balloons, holding a will I had never seen, listening to my dead husband's sister tell me that the child blowing spit bubbles in the corner was her brother's blood. And now she wanted my home. Her voice was almost kind when she added, "It's only fair." Fair. The word lodged in my chest like glass. I didn't argue. I didn't ask questions. Instead, I folded the will neatly and placed it in my purse. Then I kissed the boy on the forehead and wished him a happy birthday. She thought my silence meant defeat. It didn't. That night I pulled out every document my husband had ever signed. His handwriting, his contracts, his tax returns. I compared them under the desk lamp until my eyes burned. The signature on the will was wrong. Close enough for family eyes, not close enough for mine. I found a friend who worked in private investigations. For a price, he traced the paper trail: property records, phone logs, hotel bookings. He confirmed what I already suspected. My husband's so-called business trips often landed him within a mile of his sister's apartment. I took a strand of the boy's hair, tucked into a tissue after I picked lint from his shirt, sent it to a lab with my husband's old toothbrush. The days waiting for results were long and quiet. I moved through them like I was underwater, smiling when expected, answering questions with the calmness of a widow adjusting. Inside, the water churned. The envelope arrived on a Tuesday. I slit it open with the same knife I'd used to cut the birthday cake. Inside, numbers, percentages, a conclusion printed in black: no biological relation. The boy wasn't my husband's child, not even close. I printed every piece of evidence I had. Photos of her with another man at a roadside motel. The forensic handwriting report declaring the will a forgery. The DNA results. I put them in a plain folder. That weekend, I invited her over for tea. We sat at the kitchen table. I slid the folder toward her. She opened it. Her face drained slowly, like a tide pulling away. "You," she started. I raised a hand. "No. You'll listen." She did. I told her I'd already spoken to the police, that the forgery and attempted fraud were documented, dated, and ready for submission. I told her I hadn't pressed charges yet. Her breathing grew shallow. "You'll give me the original document," I said. "You'll sign a statement acknowledging it was false, and you'll never step onto my property again." She tried to speak, to soften her tone, to salvage something. I kept my voice level. "I'm not doing this to protect you," I said. "I'm doing it because I prefer my enemies quiet rather than locked away. But if you force me, I will bury you under the same dirt they buried him in." Her eyes flicked to the folder, then back to me. She nodded once. When she left, she didn't look back. The house was silent again. I poured myself a drink and sat in the armchair he used to occupy. The evening light cut across the floor in thin, sharp lines. I thought about my husband, about the years I gave him, about the sister who mistook my grief for weakness. They had both underestimated the quiet. Grief had taught me patience. Betrayal had taught me precision. Now I had both. I sipped my drink, let the ice touch my lips, and smiled faintly. Some inheritances aren't measured in money or property. Some are measured in what you're willing to take back. And I had taken everything.